Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy Soto back again with some breaking news. Hot off the presses just a few short minutes ago. As long as it took me to create a thumbnail and create the episode. Yeah, man. I had heard, I'm not going to say by who, because, that's how I keep my informants, but I heard uh, around an hour ago, maybe a little bit more than an hour ago, like right around 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, that Getsy was getting fired. And I couldn't say anything because I said I wouldn't say anything. Now that it was reported by Bleacher Report, I can go ahead and say Luke Getsy is being fired. He is being relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator by Antonio Pierce. What does this mean? This means a lot, actually. It may seem like a very obvious move to most, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So we're going to talk about it. Okay. I'm going to take some questions and we'll go from there. Very disappointing. If you guys have checked out the episode, the post game show that I did, excuse me, I'm still not feeling good, but all this talk is not going to help. But if you guys heard the post-game show, you know how I felt about the offense, how I felt about the adjustments made by the offensive coordinator after the initial script. And you know how I felt about some of the issues that we were having offensively. I think that there wasn't a very good job done by Luke Getsy in incorporating the quarterback and their strengths into the offense. Our run blocking was pretty bad the entire season. Our use of our weapons hasn't been the best. And I think more so than anything else, the use of the information that we gained during our script, the adjustments just weren't being done. Adjustments weren't being made. We were being out coached. We were being out strategized. We were being out play called by opposing defensive coordinators against defenses that really weren't that good. This Bengals defense wasn't good. This Bengals defense scores. I mean, they were 3-5 heading into the game against us because their defense was awful. I mean, their offense was good, but the defense was terrible, and the defense only let up, what was it, 17 points? We had a pick six, so that you can't blame the defense on that. Okay, what does this mean? This means that AP, as a coach, and the team is not trying to lose games. If they were okay with what's happening because that's, part of the plan, or there's a big conspiracy theory or something like that. If this was that, then they would just have kept Getsy. Or they would have demoted him to offensive assistant and just kept him around. They wouldn't have fired him. They would maybe have taken the title away, but he would have still called plays or something like that. Or just done nothing at all. The fact that the AP fired Getsy is a clear sign to everybody in Raider Nation that AP is still trying to win football games. Is it going to matter at 2-7? Probably not, because realistically, you have to get to 10 wins to make the playoffs. So you're going to have to go 8-0. I think the last time something similar to that happened was the Rams, I think, last season. I think they finished the season 8-1 or something like that. They started off really bad, ended up with 10 wins. They were 2-6 or something like that. And then they went on a run and went 8-1 to finish the season. But we got to go 8-0. Pardon me here. Sorry, I got to drink a lot of water because my voice still isn't great. So, clear sign. So to all the people out there who are like, oh, this is part of the plan, they want to lose, they're trying to tank. It's not the case. The team isn't playing well. The offense isn't being coached very well. The offensive game plans aren't being executed very well. Um, these scripts are pretty good, and the way this works, when we talk about script, is there's a set of plays that the scouts, the offensive scouts, there's like team scouts, right, where they scout the opponents coming up, and they're like, okay, well, these types of plays have given this defense problems. So let's put together a set of plays and let's practice these set of plays for this specific opponent. That's your script. Normally, what you would do is you would put yourself in different positions, different personnel groups, different plays, stuff like that. And you would get information on how the defense is playing you. What adjustments have they made from the film that you've seen in the past to how you're playing them today? What adjustments have they made? What differences are you seeing now in how they're playing this specific play or this specific formation? With that information, then you would make adjustments to what you're doing throughout the game. Halftime adjustments is blown out of proportion. You make adjustments throughout the game, okay? So that just wasn't being done to a level that is acceptable to any NFL team out there. The fact that in our last 50 drives, we scored 4 touchdowns that weren't like the opening drive of the game. The last 4 out of the last 5 games, we've scored an opening drive touchdown. Other than that, the other 50 drives, we've scored 4 touchdowns. And those were like down 14 or more points at the end of the game. So that's like garbage time touchdowns, right? Getsy just wasn't getting the job done. We didn't see development in our offensive line. We didn't see any development in our weapons. We didn't see any development in the quarterbacks. It just seemed like Gardner Minshew was digging deeper and deeper and deeper into his own head. We just didn't see anything new, anything different. It was just Josh McDaniels all over again. It's just Luke Getsy wasn't as good as Josh McDaniels was, but it's the same mentality, same difference. Maybe a good script and no adjustments being made. Just keep running the same plays over and over again, and you get the same results. It's tough. It's tough. So, everybody, just make sure to. I got to do some housework here. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Also, share this. We haven't talked about this enough, but share this. Maybe I can do this and. All right. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share it to your social medias. If all you have is YouTube, you probably got, if you have Facebook or you have Instagram or X or TikTok or whatever it is, share it to it. It takes a couple of seconds, but it really helps us out, and we would really appreciate it if you would just share with everyone. The stuff that you listen to, because honestly, when I talk to a lot of Raider fans out there, I ask them, hey, do you listen to any Raiders content? And they're like, what are you talking about? Like Raiders.com? And I'm like, well, yeah, there's that, but there's also a lot of good content creators. And I mentioned myself and the buddies, right? And a lot of these people just aren't aware of it. So please do me that favor, guys. Before we go any further, I'm going to give you guys this opportunity to sound off. It's a very fluid situation right now. This came out a little less than half hour ago. Tom Pelissero on his Twitter said sources, the Raiders fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. For right now, the lead candidate right now is Scott Turner to call plays. But we don't know for sure. What we're looking for right now basically is somebody. He's a logical choice. He was an offensive coordinator in Washington. Even though Washington had some pretty bad teams and they had like Sam Howell and stuff like that, they were still scoring points. So yeah, Scott Turner is a guy that you can look at as somebody who can be an offensive coordinator for a short term. But yeah, it happened. And what and it really does say a lot about where this team wants to go. But if you guys have and after games, guys, I appreciate you guys watching us and watching other content creators too. Well, watch us first, of course. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. But also watch the press conferences. The press conferences tell you a lot. Um, Antonio Pierce, he looked angry. He just didn't look like bummed or upset. He looked angry after the game, and he even said that changes are going to be made. And from what I'm hearing, from what I heard, I can't say much, but from what I heard, uh, there's going to be more changes. What those changes are, I'm not sure. I wasn't told anything specific. I was told specifically about the Getsy firing a little before 8 o'clock, and that's really the only one that I've been confirmed. But the logical choice would be Scott Turner to take over offensive coordinator and play calling duties. What does that mean? Well, for all you Road Warrior fans out there, we have 2 weeks until our next game. Got a bye week next week, and then we have the prep week for Miami. That gives the new offensive coordinator, who is probably going to be Scott Turner, and the new quarterback, who is probably going to be Desmond Ridder, to get on the same page and get comfortable with a specific set of packages and plays within those packages. It's a good time to do it. I was talking to my cousin in last week's game, and he said they have to fire Getsy right now. If they don't fire Getsy, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I said, dude, they're not going to fire him right now. If anything, they'll fire him after the Bengals game leading into the bye week. So you have 2 weeks of a new offensive coordinator before he's actually out there calling plays. So it's a fresh start basically for the offense, coordinator wise, quarterback wise. Now, I hope this puts to rest. I hope this puts to rest a lot of the tanking stuff out there. I'm not saying that the team's not losing, and I'm not saying that the team is not getting the results that tanking would give you, but it's not happening on purpose. This team is trying to win. And if you watch the post game scrum with Jackson Powers Johnson, he said, paraphrasing loosely, he said, I'm going to focus on and I'm going to build off of the fact that this team didn't quit. At the end of the game, when it didn't really mean much, we still drove down the field and scored a touchdown. Our defense made a late stop on the goal line. So we're still trying. That's what he's going to take from this game, not the other stuff. This team is still trying. It's just offensively, it wasn't clicking. Now, I will say the team was at a disadvantage quarterback-wise. We probably had one of the worst quarterback rooms in the league, just overall talent-wise. On top of that, you had an offensive coordinator who just couldn't connect with the quarterback to really bring out the best. Also, maybe you had some influence from the head coach saying he wants to play a specific way. And because of that, maybe ran the ball a little bit too much early on. I like the way we came out this game, throwing the ball, short passes, quick passes, because the ball was moving and it was fine. It was great. And we scored a touchdown. Once we got away from that, that's when things started to unravel. And that's when Gardner Minshew looked like he didn't know where to go with the ball. There was guys open, and this is the exact reason why I was not so quick to want to drop the axe on Getsy the first few weeks of the season, was because I did watch the tape, and there were a lot of guys open. It just looked like Minshew wasn't grasping the offense, and that's twofold. That's the quarterback not grasping the offense. That's the obvious. But there's also the coordinator not knowing what your quarterback is comfortable with. Very similar to, if you guys remember the Paul Guenther era, right? You remember how Will Compton called him out for having like 35 third down calls install for one game? Well, it's because Guenther was like the defensive John Gruden. John Gruden wanted his entire playbook open, and he wanted to be able to pull from any play in his playbook. His playbook is like this thick. All right. Well, Paul Gunther is the same way defensively. He has a really thick playbook defensively, and he wants to be able to call any play that he wants out of his entire playbook. Well, yeah, if you've been in that system for 10 years, yeah, you can do that. But if you're a first, second, third year defensive coordinator and you have a revolving door of players, it's hard to do. So it seemed like Getsy was very similar to that, where he had a big playbook and he was calling a bunch of things that it didn't look like whoever the quarterback was very comfortable with the play call. Because whatever quarterback was in there, whether it's Ritter, whether it's Minshew, or whether it was Farva, they weren't looking comfortable past the script. Let's see here. Soto is trying to act. Is Soto still trying to act like it's all going to be okay? Chump, our team is trash. I don't see how I'm a chump. I didn't say it was going to be okay. I didn't say Scott Turner was going to be any better than Luke Getsy. I'm trying to give some analysis on what's going on here. But, I mean, go ahead. So here's the thing, guys. We're going to lose games because we're just not good enough. We're not going to lose games because we're trying to lose games. It's very easy for us as fans to sit back and say, oh, yeah, they should tank to get a better quarterback or whatever, get a better draft position. It's easy to say when it's not your job on the line to play poorly, to put bad tape on, bad game on tape and hurt your chances of having a job and hurt your chances of signing a better contract. It's really easy for us to say that. As coaches, it's really easy to say that when you're trying to get a coaching career going. So for those who say that we're tanking, I just think you're just being dumb. If and when we do lose games, it's because we just weren't good enough or we made mistakes. It wasn't because we were trying to lose. Let's see here. El Brown Holio. Like I said last week, no need to tank if we can just lose on our own. Yeah, it's true. That's what we've been doing. I mean, there's some people who are out there that are just going to be staunchly entrenched in the fact that we're tanking. Tanking means that we're actually better than we are right now. That may be a cope by you guys. Like, oh, we're better. We're just trying to lose because we want a better draft pick. No, dude, we're this bad. We are this bad. And can this collection of players be better? Yeah. The coaching is different. Maybe some of the time management is different. Look, you don't have a deficit this season in the last 2 minutes of the first half. This is an obscure stat, but it's a real stat. The last 2 minutes of the first half, we've been outscored 46-6 in the last 2 minutes of the first half in games. That's poor clock management. That's poor game management. And there's no way we'd have that type of discrepancy if it's just, oh, we're doing everything we can do. It's just, the ball bounces that way. No, it's not the way it works. So, what are the possibilities coming forward? The possibilities going forward. The most likely possibility is Scott Turner. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see anything new coming up. Who knows? Look, it seems like after the game, the team showered, had a meeting, flew back, got to Vegas. From Cincinnati, Vegas is probably a 3-hour flight, I would say. Probably, right? Maybe 3 hours. They got there, they met with Getsy, and at least they didn't give him the whole tarmac airport treatment, right? Fire him at the airport. But yeah, man. All right. Let's see. Raider Paul. Ain't shit gonna change if you don't get the top 3 pick. Wake up. All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys something that I was talking a little bit earlier about. And Raider Paul and those who think like Raider Paul, I'm gonna give it to you straight. The quarterbacks in this draft class, we have to stop thinking of we have to stop thinking in a vacuum. Just because quarterbacks that are coming out in the next draft are the top quarterbacks in that draft, it doesn't mean that they're the top quarterbacks coming out and they're going to be automatically rated higher than other quarterbacks. Prime example, look what's happening in Minnesota right now. There could be people who are like, well, I have Sam Darnold rated higher than these other guys coming out of the draft. And also Sam Darnold can be cheap. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying it's not going to happen. But you're automatically thinking that because the top 3 quarterbacks are the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft, that they're going to go 1, 2, and 3. There's a reason why that hasn't happened until last season. I told you guys since before the draft, since before the CJ Stroud draft, that the following year, which was last year, the Williams, Daniels, May draft, that draft is going to be better quarterback wise. I told you that from a long time ago. That was a specific circumstance. It doesn't always happen that way. It happened last season, but it was the first time that 1, 2, and 3 went quarterback. Even when, excuse me, even when teams needed a quarterback, sometimes they didn't draft one because they didn't see even though they were the top rated in that class, they didn't have them rated than other guys they could have gotten. Now, for us, would they be rated? Yeah, they would be. But for us, they would be rated higher than what we have. I think there's probably 4 quarterbacks that we could get that would be, I think, a good stretch better than what we have right now. Top 4, those are Sanders and Cam Ward, who I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you guys to watch Cam Ward when he was still at Washington. I'm sorry, not Washington, Washington State. So there's Sanders, Ward, there's Milrow, and there's Beck. From my understanding, I haven't watched a ton of tape. I watched a little bit, but from my understanding, I think Milrow might be rated the best athlete out of all, but maybe the worst thrower of the football out of the 4. Just got to take a look at how wide open his guys are when he throws to them. If these are wide open throws, it can be misleading. But let's talk about it. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Sam Demand, do you prefer Penix over these top 3? I think Penix is right in line with the bottom end of these top 4. I think he's very Milrose, Beck, Penix in that area. The difference that you get with Beck and Penix is not quite the injury history. With Milrow, for sure, you get just much better athleticism. And it's not just straight line speed either. So that might play a role in it as well. But I see Shador and Ward being a little bit separated from the others. I actually see Ward and Beck being closer. Milrow and Beck as 3 and 3A, being closer to Ward than Ward is to Shador. That's playing the position of quarterback. That's how I see it right now. Do you think the Vikings would trade JJ? No. I think the Vikings really like McCarthy. I think they would, be interested in trading Sam Darnold, but not JJ. I think they're going to stick with JJ. Let's see here. Raider Paul, we need Cam Ward. Cam Ward's a good one, man. He's a good one. I like Cam Ward. Here's some things that you need to look at. In college, the game's a little bit different. But you want to take a look at is how long is the quarterback holding the ball? Because we've seen it's very rare that the quarterback can hold the ball for a long time and still get enough on the ball to get it down the field. Because these defensive linemen in the NFL, they're freaks, bro. They're freaks. They're freak athletes. I'm not talking Diddy freak. I don't know. Maybe that dude from Seattle, kind of a Diddy freak, but what's his name? Byron Murphy. Excuse me. But these guys are freaks, man. So what you want to look at is, are the quarterbacks throwing the ball on time? And are they fitting the ball into tight windows while they're throwing it on time? That's what you have to look at, I think, to evaluate a good quarterback. That's why I think Jalen Milroe is just a supreme athlete and a good quarterback. I don't see him throwing the ball on time very much. And when he does throw the ball, a lot of times he's throwing to a wide open space with wide open receivers. That doesn't show me much about how he is or who he is as a quarterback. It shows me that he can hit open receivers, which is fine, but how open are these receivers going to be in the NFL? You got to fit the tight windows, man. So there's a couple things to take a look at. Boogie. Shador can make all the throws. Yeah, man, he can. He can make every single throw out there. And I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about his attitude or anything because, look, say what you want to say about his dad, about Prime. Say what you want to say about Prime, Coach Prime. Say what you want to say about him. He's brash. He's arrogant. He's cocky. He's this. He's that. Yeah, but he performed when he was on the field. He performed at the highest level, one of the highest levels we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. And that, more than anything, has been burned into Shador's head. You can have the rollies and you can have all the NIL and all that stuff you want. If you don't back it up on the field, it doesn't mean anything. I don't mind having a brash quarterback. I really don't, as long as he performs on the field. I don't mind having a quiet quarterback as long as he performs on the field. I don't mind having a quarterback that gets in fights with his teammates, gets in fights with his coaches. As long as when they're within those lines, they're good to go. And they all know they have one goal: to play together and to win games. That's it. That's all that matters. I think everyone thinks that in a room full of 53 players, plus a practice squad, plus all the coaches and the assistants and the trainers, that everyone gets along. That's not the case. It's not. It really isn't. And that's from rec league all the way up into the pros. There's little cliques that form and people have beef with other people. People slept with this person's baby mama or whatever. But you can't expect everyone to get along outside as long as they know they have one goal inside the lines. All right. So, again, if you're just joining us, the breaking news about an hour ago, Luke Getsy was relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator of your Oakland, Los Angeles, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders by head coach Antonio Pierce. And the word around the campfire, the word around the campfire is that there more changes are going to be coming. What those changes are, I don't know. Maybe those changes are quarterback change to Ritter. I don't know. Maybe it's the handing over of the center job to Jackson Powers Johnson, who was a freaking monster today, mind you. I think JPJ needs more firings. Let's see what else we got. Offensive line coach and quarterback coach have also been fired. Woo! Well, that sounds about right. the Las Vegas Raiders posted on X about a few minutes ago. We have relieved Luke Getsy, which is offensive coordinator, James Craig, who was the quarterback coach, I'm sorry, the offensive line coach, and Rich Scangarello of their duties with the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. So all those guys are gone. So the areas of our offense that were performing the poorest, the quarterback, the offensive line, and the overall offense, those guys are gone. Yeah. So those are changes. Those are more changes out there. And I think that it's needed. I think it's definitely needed. Omar, thank you for the $5 slap of love. Omar, $5 super chat. Appreciate it, man. If you guys want to guarantee your question on here, either subscribe or send a super chat. But yeah, I think we're more than a quarterback away. Years of bad drafting, exactly why we're here. I was against the Adams trade and picks. Well, I'll tell you what, Adams wasn't going to stick around after this year anyway. With the $45 million cap hit, no, it just wasn't going to be worth it. So I'll tell you what, I think we are just a quarterback away. Look at how poorly, go look at the stats. Look at how poorly the Cincinnati defense has been performing. The big difference between us and the Cincinnati team is Joe Burrow. And they just were outscoring teams. And you saw today with no T. Higgins, we bottled up Jamar Chase for the most part. They still scored over 40 points. It's Joe Burrow. So a quarterback can cover up a lot of stink, guys. He really can. We definitely need linemen, right? We need offensive linemen. We really don't know what's in store coming up next. Right now, it shows here. Let's see. NFL rumors. I'm trying to get my rumors back up here. But yeah. What's going on here? So 5-game losing streak, guys. This is just was inevitable. We needed to move on. The offensive line was performing terribly. For players like Mumford, who held his own last season at tackle, who started the season, was a starter this year as a tackle, to perform that poorly, you have to take a look at what the differences are. What was the difference between the end of last season and this season? Well, you got a new quarterback coach, you got a new offensive coordinator, you got a new offensive line. All three of those phases of the team are performing at a much lower level than they were last season. And when you're one of the worst in the league, that's what you're going to get, man. This is a performance-based business, and this is why this game is cutthroat, dude. These players put their bodies and their futures, their lives on the line out there. And for you guys to continue to preach this tanking thing, they're not losing on purpose. They're losing because they're playing and performing that poorly. Let's see here. Soto, who do you think made the firings? I think it was AP, man. I think it was AP call. I think that it was in conjunction probably with Telesco, and but it's ultimately the coaching staff is AP's call, and I think it was something that he had to do. I think that he was very frustrated with the offense for quite some time. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for being a subscriber. Appreciate it. I think that that was happening for quite some time, and I think he was just being a bro. He was being a bro and not throwing Getsy under the bus. But ultimately, that's what had to happen. Let's see what we got going on here. Raider way, exactly. We're not tanking, we're stanking. Yes. And the issue is, look, guys, I understand that it sounds well and good to, oh yeah, with tank and it's almost like a cope, right? Where we're like, well, we're not that bad. We're just tanking on purpose so we can get a high draft pick. It's not happening. It doesn't work that way. You would have to I mean, the perfect storm is happening. We have very good players on this team. Just we're missing the one at the most important position. Also, the good players that we had at other positions are hurt. We shipped off Davante Adams, probably our best offensive player. Brock Bowers is doing his thing. But offensive line, Colton Miller hasn't been right the entire season. James and Parham have been hurt. Jackson Powers Johnson started the season hurt. Defensively, don't even get started on the defensive line. And I said it before the season started. The defensive line was the engine that was going to make this defense run. 2 out of the 4 defensive linemen. Now, look, Wilkins has shown that he was an excellent pickup, that he was that dude. He was just as advertised. Wilkins was just as advertised, but he got hurt. So when you're not that deep, because you do have drafting issues, going back years and years and years, but you have good players that are starters, you got to hope that those starters don't go down, or if they do, they come back quickly. We're losing a lot of these guys for the season, man. And because of that, that's why we're losing games. We're not losing games because we're tanking. We're doing it on purpose. All right, guys, listen up real quick. I need you guys, please, if you're happy about Luke Getsy getting fired, if you think this needed to happen, I want you to hit the like button. I want you to comment, subscribe to this channel, and share it on your social medias. Please, please, please. That's all I ask. I'm not asking you guys to be subscribers. I'm not asking you guys for super chats, but this is absolutely free to do. It's the absolute bare minimum you can do that can help this channel. Please share it, like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys, okay? All right. I do this all for you guys. I'm on here solo a bunch. I'm on here solo. I'm sick. I'm hogging up all kinds of crazy stuff. But I want to come on and talk to you guys about this. Let's see here. What else we got up in here? I don't watch college. I heard Ward is a smaller Jamarcus. No, I don't think that's the case. I think he plays the position better. He doesn't have the arm. I don't think hardly anybody has the arm that Jamarcus Russell had. His arm was just electric. He just wasn't a hard worker. He was lazy. He was hooked on that lean. That's pretty much what it was. Boogie, Shador has that Brady mindset. Well, you know what? Guess who's a mentor to Shador? Tom Brady. And if they want to make it happen, they can make it happen. Pirate and Shield, it's done. ... Getsy fired. Middle finger. Raider Nation for life. Yeah, man. It happened. And it was time. It was time. It should happen. Let's see. What else we got here, guys? Come on, give me your questions. What we got? What do we got? James Hurd, Raiders about to bring in Bill Belichick. I don't think so. I'll tell you why. The Raiders haven't had a true GM since 2017. 2018, when Gruden came back, even though McKenzie was still there for 18, it was John Gruden's show. He got rid of Gruden. Pronouns, pal. Gruden got rid of McKenzie, brought in Mayock as a paper GM. But, we all knew that Gruden was making the picks. Once they were let go, Mark Davis decided to bring in Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Dave Ziegler was preaching and preaching and preaching. Yeah, man, I'm the GM, this and that. And it stops with me and everything. That wasn't the case. Famously, we know that Dave Ziegler negotiated a deal to jump up to number 2 to take CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans, and JMD said no, he didn't want to do it. He nixed it. So we know who had the power then. I think this time around, Mark Davis wanted to hire an experienced GM. Bill Belichick, wherever he wanted to go, he wanted to have that power as well. I don't think it's a smart thing to do. I think that one of the reasons why Tom Brady, who is now a part owner of the Raiders, if you haven't heard, left New England was because of how he was being treated and how players were being treated by New England. Even though to some it was the way he softened in Tampa was still very strict. It was nothing close to what it was like in New England. So I don't think the Brady Belichick marriage is going to happen again. I really don't. Nicholas Deering, who else is getting fired, bruh? I think Minshew is getting benched. I think Andre James is getting benched. He's no longer going to be the center. I think it's going to be Jackson Powers Johnson from now on. Sorry about that, guys. I know that sounds pretty terrible. It's like a dry hack. I'm trying to get all this stuff out of here, but I can't. It's terrible. What you talking about? Not very well. Luis Guzman, what are you talking about? It's terrible. What you typing about? Not very well. I have no idea what you mean. Seriously, Luis Guzman, I have no idea what you're saying. Let's see here. OC Nation, is Scott Turner the new OC? More than likely, yes. I don't think anything's been formally announced, but that seems to be the consensus. Let's see here. Doppelganger. Everyone blamed Getsy. I think you meant now we find out one way or the other. I'll tell you something right now. A lot of the blame has to go on Getsy. Because when you see a specific pattern happening, you have to take a look at who is responsible for that pattern. 4 out of the last 5 games, we scored a touchdown on the opening drive. On the other 50 drives, we scored 4 touchdowns, and they were all at the latter part of the game, down more than 2 scores. So that tells me in the meat of the game, when you still have a chance to win, you're not putting up points. And if that pattern is it, how is the quarterback able to score touchdowns on the opening drive but not after that? If they're just not that good, then why are they doing it at all? Well, they're comfortable with those plays. Why are they not comfortable with the other plays? They're capable of doing things. They're capable of being better. What's the difference? The difference is coaching, man. The difference is play calling. The difference is game management offensively. That's a big difference. All right. Fastest Edwards Racing. This is my list. Kingsbury, LaFleur, Wes Phillips, Liam Cohen, Todd Monken. I don't know about Todd Monken. And of course, Ben Johnson. What about home dude from Houston? Was Slowiak or something like that? JS, yes. Getsy really did get fired. Slim Pickens, Getsy was trash, too predictable with no adjustments. Yeah. I think the adjustments were the big deal. Now, I'm not trying to say, excuse me, that our quarterback play was stellar. I think we still had poor quarterback play. But you have to take a look at Minshew has never been this bad. Never. Never in his career has he been this bad. Even Favre, when he got in the games, it wasn't good. It was a bunch of the same. First drive touchdown, then nothing after that. Why do they look so bad? It's the adjustments. It's calling plays just to call. Well, we have the play in the playbook. You might as well call it. Well, is your quarterback comfortable with the play? Is a quarterback, have you guys run this play a lot in practice? I don't know, man. I don't know. Ray Gonzalez. What up, Soto? Always darkest before the dawn. Love the content. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Share on your social medias, guys. Share this. Share this with everybody. Is Getsy normally calling plays from over top instead of the sideline? No, Getsy was a guy that liked to call plays from the sidelines. They moved him upstairs to see if it would help him kind of see the game a little bit better. It didn't. Why did we ever get rid of Bill Musgrave as OC? Is this Derek Carr? I don't know. Could have been a contract thing, could have been, something else, philosophical issue. Normally, coaches aren't let go that are doing well, when there's nothing wrong. Normally, there had to have been something going on. I disagree. Favre was better and had to come in late when we had to pass. No, when he started his game, the same thing happened. We scored early and then we couldn't score after. It happens, bro. It happened to everybody. Hugh Jack City OC incoming. I mean, he's on the staff as a consultant. I don't know if Hugh Jackson is going to want to do that because he can't implement his system. He can't implement his system in 2 weeks. It takes a whole offseason to do that. So he's going to have to go in there and play and call plays on someone else's playbook, which isn't as easy as it might seem. You have somebody like a Scott Turner who's already been an offensive coordinator in other places. So he's been a play caller already, and he's been there the entire season. I think that's the more logical choice. I'm not going to discount any possibility. Hell, I could be the play caller. Who knows? I forgot to mention, being a 64-year-old Raider fan, love the show, subscribed and sharing. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. What do you race? What kind of vehicles do you race? Samson Renteria or Renteria if you're from Brazil. It's about time. All right. Boogie, will our fans ever stop putting AOC on a pedestal? He's a backup. He was never the answer. Yeah, man, I think he's backup material. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the guy, but I think he's a backup quarterback in this league, a good one, a one that you can definitely win with. But ultimately, yeah, I think he's a backup quarterback. All right, guys, seems to be winding down. I did about 50 minutes for you guys. All right. So just to kind of wrap it up here, after the game, the timeline kind of works this way. Look, after the game, after you do media and you shower and you get your little packet of food, look, after the game, these guys aren't getting like sit down meals and shit. They're getting a little like to go pack of food and they're getting on the bus and they're eating on the way to the airport. They already have their bags packed and everything. It's already underneath the buses to go straight to the airport from the venue, from the stadium. So let's say the game was over around what local time let's say 4 o'clock, or let's say I'm going to use Pacific time. Pacific time that the game was over around 1:15, 1:20. So 120, you BS a little around on the field a little bit, let's say 140. Media's done by 2 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, you're on the bus. Everyone showered, everyone did their interviews, everyone got all their stuff. They're on the bus by 3 o'clock. They're at the airport by 4. They're up in the air. It takes 3 hours. 7 o'clock, they land, get to the venue. From the airport to the facilities about a half. Yeah, they probably went straight to the airport. I mean, this makes sense, right? This is logically makes sense. From the airport to Las Vegas International to the facility, about 7:30, they have a meeting, a team meeting. Mark Davis meets with AP. They make the decision. Telesco's there as well, of course. They bring Getsy in, drop the hammer. They get Greg in there, drop the hammer. Coach S, the quarterback coach, drop the hammer. They make sure they have all their ducks in a row. They tell their media team around 8:30, 8:40-ish, and then 15 minutes later, I'm on live, baby. You know how we do. So that's the timeline, man. It all makes sense. It all works out, bro. Raider way. There should have never been any excuses. There is no excuses. Not in this game. I mean, there's reasons why, legit reasons. Yeah, we have a traditionally terrible drafting, so we're very thin. We have good players, but we're very thin. So any injuries to starters, when they start to pile up, it's going to take a big toll, and it did especially defensively to us and offensively, not having a lot of players being able to play to their potential. It's tough. It doesn't excuse the play. The coaching's been bad. That's a reason. That was a reason why the three main areas on this offense, the overall handling of the offense, the play calling was subpar, was not up to code. The quarterback play, subpar, not up to code. The offensive line play, subpar, not up to code. All three of those guys got the axe today, and deservingly so. Boogie, awkward plane ride for the offensive coordinators. Honestly, I think they may have thought something was up, but this is not a brag or anything like that because it's not something to be proud of. But I fired my fair share of people in my day, having my own business and being in leadership of other companies and stuff like that. I don't think I ever fired anybody, and it was a surprise. They all knew it was coming. They all knew that whether they were fired for attendance, disciplinary reasons, for performance, I think they all knew it was coming, or it was at least a possibility. So I don't think these guys were caught off guard. Like when Anthony Richardson said, "Oh yeah, I mean, my benching caught me completely off guard." Bryce Young, yeah, my benching caught me completely off guard. Well, you're unaware of yourself then, because you should have been benched. Let's see here. Buddy knows best. Looks like we're in for a total rebuild. Well, the rebuild, I think, was happening regardless. A rebuild doesn't mean you have to get rid of all your good players. You could just build off of what you have. We've been rebuilding for quite some time. I think that with the previous regimes, with previous players, we thought we were set at certain positions and we weren't. And we were just trying to well, let's get a new coach. Let's get a new offensive coordinator. Let's get new weapons. Let's get new this. Let's get new that. And it just wasn't working no matter what we did. So once we moved on from our previous regime and previous players, that's when the rebuilding started. You can't tell me that the defense now isn't better than the defense we had 3 years ago. It definitely is. So that's an area that we can build off of. Offensively, we do have some. I mean, I think Brock Bowers is an absolute superstar. I think he's an absolute super stud. And it looks like Ritter and Bowers have a kind of a little bit of a good communication going on here. I think players like DJ Turner, like Tucker, like Jacoby Myers, if he isn't traded, I think they have good roles. I still think we need a number one receiver, a number one wide receiver type. I don't think Jacoby is quite as explosive as you need to be that number one guy. I think he can be a serviceable one, but you have to run the offense through Brock Bowers. Fastest Edward Racing, you nailed it. Like my brother says, when I would tell him I had to fire someone, what did he do to fire himself? Yeah, man. I mean, I never really fired anybody. I kind of just delivered the paperwork, honestly. All right, guys. Wowza. Getsy is not the only problem. No, he's not. On the coaching side, that's why the offensive line coach was fired, and that's why the quarterback coach was fired as well. But we do need some help at the quarterback position. We need some help on the offensive line, some depth. We need probably a number one. We need another, I wouldn't say elite, but another high end target, right? To go along with Bowers. I think that defensively, we need some more size and explosive play from our interior defensive line. I think those are areas that really need to be upgraded. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is my time. Again, everybody, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this. If you're watching it, if you like it, it takes 2 seconds. Like, comment, subscribe, and go ahead and share this guy to all your social medias. Let everyone know in Raider Nation that the Autumn Windbags, is the greatest thing going today. All right. So just to wrap up, Luke Getsy gone. What the hell's his name? Coach Greg, the offensive line coach, is gone. The freaking the quarterback coach's freaking first name is a goddamn nightmare. What the hell is his name? Scar something or other. Well, I forgot his name. I don't know his name. It's a nightmare of a name. But anyway, he's fired too, the quarterback coach. So we're gonna look. We got the bye week coming up, but we're still gonna have a show coming out on Thursday. Wednesday, it's gonna come out early for those subscribers out there. Again, guys, appreciate it. Until next time, everybody. Peace.